In the fog-choked town of Mist Hollow, Nora Caldwell stumbles into a McDonald's and sees three faces she thought were gone forever, her daughters, stolen 18 years ago. But the truth is darker, tangled in lies, crime, and a chilling crow's eye symbol. Who hid them? Who's still watching? This fictional tale, inspired by real stories, is crafted to educate and grip you. Will Nora save her family, or will secrets bury them? Like, comment, share, and subscribe to dive deeper into this mystery. Tell us where you're watching from. Don't miss the shocking twists ahead. The fog-choked Mist Hollow, Oregon, on a biting October evening, the air stuck at 45 degrees Fahrenheit. Main Street's McDonald's glowed like a lone beacon, its neon sign flickering through the mist. Inside, the smell of fries and grease hung heavy, mixing with the hiss of the coffee machine. Eleanor Caldwell, Nora to the few who knew her, pushed through the glass door, her gray hair slipping from a messy bun. At 52, the former investigative reporter looked worn, her eyes shadowed from 18 years of chasing ghosts. She just wanted a cheap coffee to cut through the chill after a long day shelving books at the town library. The line was short, just a couple of locals grumbling about the wait. Nora clutched her purse, her fingers brushing an old photo she always carried, her three daughters, stolen at 4 years old. She barely glanced at the cashier until a voice, soft but sharp, sliced through her haze. Big Mac combo, $8.99. Nora's head snapped up. Her heart slammed against her ribs. The girl behind the counter, maybe 22, had piercing blue eyes and a teardrop-shaped birthmark peeking above her red McDonald's polo. Ava. It was Ava, her Ava, alive and calling orders like nothing had happened. Nora's gaze darted across the restaurant. Another girl, restless and quick, wiped tables with a rag, her blonde hair swinging. Lily. At the second register, a quieter girl with a neat bun rang up a customer, a silver necklace glinting at her throat, a carved crow's eye, the same pendant Nora had bought at a Portland flea market 18 years ago. Grace. Her triplets, stolen by her drunk husband Michael, that September night, were here, 10 feet away, working at a McDonald's in this fog-drenched town. You okay, ma'am? You look like you just saw a ghost, Ava said, her tone half concerned, half wary. Nora's mouth went dry. She wanted to scream their names, to pull them close, but their blank, polite stares stopped her cold. You're Ava, aren't you? Nora stammered, her voice cracking like thin ice. Ava frowned, glancing at Grace. Yeah, that's me. Do we know you? Grace tilted her head, her fingers pausing on the register. Ma'am? Nora's coffee slipped from her hand, splashing across the floor. She mumbled an apology, stumbling toward the door. Outside, the fog swallowed the street, but she glanced back through the glass. Her daughters laughed, oblivious to the woman whose world had just shattered. A black SUV idled in the parking lot, its engine rumbling low, headlights off. Nora's hand slid into her coat pocket, finding a crumpled paper she didn't remember picking up. Her blood ran cold as she unfolded it, a crude sketch of a crow's eye, with the words, "Don't dig." Nora Caldwell's cramped apartment on the edge of Mist Hollow reeked of stale coffee and despair. The walls, plastered with yellowed newspaper clippings and faded photos of 3 4-year-old girls, seemed to close in as she hunched over her kitchen table. Her hand shook, clutching a dog-eared snapshot of Ava, Lily, and Grace, their blonde pigtails glowing in a long-lost summer's light. The October chill, 40 degrees Fahrenheit, seeped through the thin windows, but Nora barely noticed. Her mind was stuck on that McDonald's, on her daughters alive and oblivious, 10 feet away yet a lifetime apart. She hadn't slept. The crow's eye sketch from her pocket burned in her thoughts, its jagged lines taunting her. 18 years ago, her husband, Michael, drunk and raging, had stormed out, screaming she was a failure as a mother. He'd taken the triplets, vowing to teach her a lesson. By dawn, they were gone, no trace, no ransom. Nora had burned through every dime on private investigators, plastered missing posters across Oregon, but the trail went cold. Now, her girls were flipping burgers in Mist Hollow, calling another man dad. Nora dug through a dusty box, pulling out a brittle newspaper from 2007. The headline screamed, "Fire destroys, missed, hollow home, family missing." Her house, gutted by flames, the police calling it an accident. No bodies found, but a detective's scrawl hinted at foul play. Her breath hitched as she opened her laptop, scrolling through an old police report she'd bribed a clerk for years ago. James Whitaker, Michael's older brother, had been questioned in a child disappearance case in Idaho decades back. No charges, but the coincidence chilled her to the bone. Her phone buzzed. Sam Carter, a local reporter who'd sniffed around Mist Hollow's underbelly, picked up on the second ring. "Nora, you sound like hell," he said, voice rough like gravel. "James Whitaker," Nora whispered, her throat tight. "He's got my girls, Sam. They're alive, working at McDonald's." Sam paused. Too long. "Whitaker? He's bad news. Used to hang with some shady types at the old lumber mill." "You sure about this?" Nora's pulse hammered. She grabbed her coat, driven by a gnawing need to see her girls again. Back at McDonald's, the fog clung to Main Street, muffling the neon glow. She ordered a burger, eyes locked on Lily wiping tables. "Dad's picking us up tonight," Lily said to Ava, her voice bright. "Says we're his treasures." Nora's stomach twisted. She edged closer, pretending to check her receipt. A faint crow's eye carving on the counter caught her eye, barely visible under the fluorescent buzz. She snapped a photo, her hand trembling. As she stepped into the misty night, a shadow moved in the parking lot. The black SUV was back, its engine growling low. Then her phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. "Stop looking, or you'll end like Michael." The fog draped Mist Hollow like a shroud, the air a crisp 42 degrees Fahrenheit, as Ava slipped into the back room of the McDonald's on Main Street. Her shift was over, but Nora's haunted eyes from yesterday gnawed at her. At 22, Ava shouldn't remember a woman from when she was 4, but a faint lullaby, soft and warm, echoed in her dreams, nothing like the sick mother dad James Whitaker described. She rummaged through the storage closet, her hands brushing dusty boxes of napkins until she found an old wooden one tucked behind a broken fryer. Her pulse quickened as she pried it open, revealing a faded journal and a yellowed letter. The journal's elegant handwriting wasn't James's. "Ava laughed at a squirrel today," it read. "Lily climbed the fridge. Grace chased a moth. Ava's breath caught." These weren't random notes, they were about her and her sisters. The letter, scrawled in a shaky hand, hit like a punch. "James, give them back to Nora. She's their mother. I messed up. Michael." Her world tilted. Michael? Her real father? Nora? Alive? She clutched the journal, her fingers tracing a rough sketch of a crow's eye on the cover, its eerie lines matching the pendant Grace wore. Morning light barely cut through the fog, as Ava cornered her sisters in the McDonald's break room. "You ever dream about a woman singing?" she asked Lily, her voice low. "Not the mom Dad told us about, someone else," laughing, brushing our hair. Lily tossed her blonde hair, rolling her eyes. "You're paranoid, Ava. Dad raised us. That's it." Grace fidgeted with her crow's eye necklace, her voice soft. I have her pendant. Dad said it was Mom's, but what if he lied?" Ava's heart raced. She needed answers. By dusk, she tracked Nora to Mist Hollow's town square, the park's benches swallowed by mist. Nora's face, lined with pain, lit up when Ava approached, holding the journal. "You found something, didn't you?" Nora asked, her voice trembling. Ava nodded, handing over the journal. "This is yours, isn't it? It's about us. In this letter, is Dad even our dad?" Nora's eyes darkened, tears welling. "He's your uncle, Ava. Michael, your father, took you away. James kept you hidden." Ava's knees buckled. She gripped a bench, the journal's crow's eye sketch searing her mind. A low rumble broke the silence. A black SUV idled across the square, its tinted windows gleaming like eyes. Nora grabbed her arm. "We're being watched," she whispered, her voice sharp with fear. Ava's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "The crow's eye sees you." Her pulse thundered as the SUV's headlights flared, slicing the fog. The letter's words burned Michael, begging for forgiveness, hinting at danger. What had James dragged them into? And who was coming for them now? The fog clung to Mist Hollow's abandoned lumber mill, its rusted machinery looming like ghosts under a moonless sky. The air bit at 40 degrees Fahrenheit, but Nora Caldwell's blood ran colder as she crouched behind a stack of rotting pallets. She'd followed James Whitaker here, her heart pounding with fury and dread. At 55, James looked weathered but fit, his graying hair catching the dim glow of a flickering street lamp as he spoke to a man in a black coat, a crow's eye ring glinting on his finger. Nora's breath hitched. James was neck-deep in something darker than she'd imagined. She stepped from the shadows, her voice sharp as a blade. "James Whitaker, you stole my daughters. You told them I was dead." James froze, his keys dangling, face paling. His eyes darted to the man in the coat, who slipped into the darkness. "Nora, you don't know what you're messing with," he hissed, his voice low and tense. "Messing with?" Nora snapped, stepping closer. "You took Ava, Lily, and Grace. You forged their lives." James's jaw tightened, his gaze cold. "Michael was a wreck, Nora. In debt to bad people. I took the girls to save them." "Save them?" Nora's voice cracked. "You erased me." He leaned in, his breath hot. "The Order of the Hollow would have killed them. Michael owed them thousands. I had no choice." Nora's stomach churned. "What did you do to Michael?" James hesitated, guilt flickering in his eyes. "He's alive, Nora. Hiding, maybe 20 miles from here. I protected the girls, but you're digging up graves better left buried." A gunshot shattered the silence, the bullet grazing a nearby beam. Nora's heart lurched. James grabbed her arm, shoving her behind a rusted saw. "Run," he yelled, his voice raw with panic. Nora stumbled through the mill's maze, the echo of boots pounding behind her. She ducked into a dark corner, finding a crumpled folder wedged under a crate. Bank records, coded notes, and a list of names tied to the order. Her blood ran cold when she saw Sheriff Diane Holt scrawled among them. Nora's phone buzzed as she hid, her hand shaking. A text from an unknown number. The crow's eye never blinks. Her pulse roared. The sheriff, her last hope for help, was part of this? James's truck roared to life outside, tires screeching as he fled. The man in the black coat emerged, his silhouette stark against the mill's broken windows, a knife glinting in his hand. Nora clutched the folder, her mind screaming one question. If Michael was alive, who was pulling the order's strings? And why was her name scratched out in the folder's margin, marked with a crow's eye? The man's boot scraped closer, and the fog seemed to whisper her doom. The fog smothered Mist Hollow's pine forest, the air a raw 38 degrees Fahrenheit, as Nora Caldwell and her daughters fled through gnarled trees. Ava gripped Nora's hand, her blue eyes wide with fear. Lily stumbled, cursing under her breath, while Grace clutched her crow's eye pendant, tears streaking her face. The black SUV's headlights sliced through the mist, its engine snarling like a beast on their trail. Gunshots from the lumber mill still rang in Nora's ears, and the folder of Order of the Hollow documents burned against her chest, tucked inside her jacket. They ducked into a crumbling cabin, its rotted boards creaking underfoot. "We can't stay here," Nora whispered, her voice taut. "They're too close." Ava's hand shook. "Mom, what if they're watching the sheriff's station? You said Holt's one of them." "No choice," Nora said, her resolve steel. "These files, bank records, names can end this." Lily's voice cracked. "Dad's part of it, isn't he?" "James didn't just lie, he's one of them." "He loves you," Nora said softly, "but love doesn't erase betrayal." Grace sobbed, gripping her pendant. "I want to believe he's good." Ava kicked at a loose floorboard, revealing a trapdoor to a dank cellar. They scrambled down, the air thick with mold. Inside, they found a rusted lockbox, stuffed with coded ledgers and a cassette tape labeled Michael. Nora's heart pounded as she played it on an old recorder. Michael's voice, hoarse and desperate, crackled, "Nora, I'm near the lake. Find me. The order's coming." The girls froze, their world unraveling. James wasn't their father, Michael was, and he might still be alive. Uncle? Lily spat, her voice venomous. He raised us on lies. Ava grabbed Nora's arm. Mom, why didn't you find us sooner? I never stopped looking, baby, Nora said, her voice breaking. Never. Grace's eyes darted to the stairs. What's that noise? The SUV's rumble grew louder, tires crunching outside. A shadow loomed at the trapdoor, a man in a mask carved with a crow's eye, his knife gleaming. Run! Nora yelled, shoving the girls toward a back exit. They burst into the forest, branches clawing their skin. Nora clutched the lockbox, its secrets their only weapon. Then she saw it, a faded photo inside, showing her with the girls, her face scratched out in black ink, a crow's eye scrawled beside it. The masked man's boots thudded closer, his blade catching the moonlight. Nora's phone buzzed with a text. You can't hide. The lake was half a mile away, Michael's last hope. But as the SUV's headlights pinned them in the fog, a new question burned. Who in the order knew Nora's face well enough to erase it? And why was the masked man whispering her name? Mist Hollow's town square shimmered under a weak March sun, the air a brisk 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Nora Caldwell sat on a bench beneath a towering oak, its branches bare but budding. Ava, Lily, and Grace huddled close, their breath visible in the chill. Months had passed since their desperate flight through the forest, the lockbox's secrets handed to the state police. James Whitaker, their uncle, not father, was behind bars, his confession chilling. He'd hidden the girls from the Order of the Hollow to save them from Michael's debts. He swore he'd cut ties with the cult years ago, but his crow's eye ring told a darker story. The fog had lifted from Mist Hollow, but a shadow lingered. Sheriff Diane Holt had vanished, her name on the orders list sparking whispers of a cover-up. Nora's fingers brushed the lockbox papers in her bag, bank records, aliases, proof of a syndicate still slithering through Oregon's underbelly. Ava broke the silence, her voice steady. We can't erase the past, Mom. But we're here now, building something new. Grace fidgeted with her crow's eye pendant, her eyes soft. Can we forgive Dad James? Nora's throat tightened. I'm trying, honey. For you, I'm trying. Lily frowned, her voice sharp. What about those men? Are we safe? Nora forced a smile, hiding the truth. That morning, a small wooden box had arrived at her apartment, no return address. Inside, a single raven feather and a note in red ink. The crow's eye still sees you. Her heart had raced, but she kept it from the girls, their fragile bond too new to break. She scanned the square, catching a lone raven perched on a lamppost, its eyes glinting like it knew her secrets. Sam Carter, the reporter, had slipped her one last file before disappearing to Portland. It hinted Michael was alive, hiding 20 miles away in a fishing town by the lake. The hope stung as much as it burned. Was he a victim, or part of the Order's game? Dr. Emily Harper, a family therapist, had met them last week, her words stark. Truth can mend trust, but secrets tied to crime leave scars that don't fade. Seek help to heal, or trauma will haunt you. Her warning was clear. Hidden truths in danger lives. Act fast, or pay the price. As the girls laughed, sharing a story about a spilled milkshake at McDonald's, Nora's hand tightened on the note in her pocket. The Order was out there, watching. A fresh crow's eye carving marred the oak's trunk, unnoticed by the girls. Nora's eyes flicked to the horizon, where a black SUV idled at the square's edge, its driver hidden. Her pulse thundered. Safety was a lie, and the Order's shadow loomed larger than ever. Who was behind the mask, and what did they want with her daughters?